In this video, we're going to continue topic 7.2, which is multiplying and dividing rational expressions. We're going to look at explain 2, which is dividing the rational expressions. So the big difference between multiplication and division is that we have one extra step when we divide. We need to begin by flipping and switching to multiplication, or multiplying by the reciprocal. Just as if we were taking 2/3 and we were dividing it by 1/3, we need to take the second term, and I need to would do the reciprocal and switch to multiplication, and we would know that the answer would be 2. So we're going to do that same process here. When I do that process, just like with multiplication, it's become a simplifying problem, so I am going to write it over one fraction bar just to save some steps. I notice that that's a squared, so I'm going to choose to write it twice. And then I'm going to write down the x squared here. For the other part, I'm going to switch the location. So the numerator comes up to the top, the denominator goes down to the bottom. The numerator goes to the bottom, the denominator goes to the top. So I would get x squared plus x minus 2, and then x squared plus 9x plus 14. Now, hopefully, you saw trinomials and you're screaming that we need to do some magic x's. So I'm going to just leave the x plus 7 times x plus 7 and the x. I'm going to switch this into x times x just in case. I don't know that I'll need it, but we're going to switch it to that for now. So the numerator, I need two numbers that multiply to -2 and add to 1. So that would be 2 and -1. So x plus 2 times x minus 1. The denominator, I need two numbers that multiply to 14 and add to 9, and that would be 7 and 2. So x plus 7 times x plus 2. Now we get to do that fun part of crossing stuff out that matches. And remember, I need the pair has to be one on the top and one on the bottom. So I see an x plus 7 and an x plus 7. I only get to do one set. And I see x plus 2 and x plus 2. It doesn't look like there's anything else, so my final answer would be x plus 7 times x minus 1, and I want to be super cool, so I'm going to rewrite that back as squared. The other thing we were supposed to be looking for was excluded values. So remember, I find excluded values by setting my denominator equal to 0. So I'd take the square root of both sides, and it would be the excluded value would be 0. All right, let's take a look at B. So again, I'm going to write out my first one exactly the way it looks. Oh, it looks like I got to factor a little bit, right? So let's factor a 3 out of that denominator. So 3x minus 10, greatest common factor. And then I am going to flip the reciprocal on the second one. So it looks like I've got x squared minus 10x. And then 9x squared minus 27x minus 36. Now we're going to, looks like I'm going to start by taking out some greatest common factors, at least out of this piece right here. So let's see, I'm getting 6x. I have a greatest common factor of x, and that would leave behind x minus 10, keeping the 3x minus 10 that I factored there already. I believe I have a greatest common factor here. It looks like it's a 9. So I'm going to do a little bit of intermediate step. This is kind of sloppy, but I'm trying not to write 5 million lines of work. So if I pull out a 9, I'd be left with negative 3x minus 4, which is way better, right? So that 9 is going to get written down, and I'm going to do a magic X on this piece. So two numbers that multiply to -4 and add to -3 would be -4 and 1. So we get x minus 4 times x plus 1. All right, the fun part, we get to cross stuff out. So I am going to get to cross out x minus 10. Ooh, I could do a little bit more, right? 3 into 6 2 times. But unfortunately, that's it. This one wasn't as satisfying as some of the others, right? So I got to look at what's left in my numerator. I've got a 2, an x, and an x, so I would write that as 2x squared. And then this orange piece is what's left in the denominator, so 9 times x minus 4 times x plus 1. To get my excluded values, I would set these two factors that are in the denominator equal to 0. So I would end up with 4 and -1 as my excluded values.